Hi. Most people who visit me for help with psychological problems have tried some various strategies to help themselves, mostly unsuccessfully. And the reason they're unsuccessful is they're trying to solve their problem, their mental health problem, in the wrong reality. You see, there are two basic realities that we can think about usefully when we think about mental health problems. There's internal reality, which is everything that happens in your mind, your consciousness, your brain. And then there is external reality, which is everything else that happens in the external world. And if you try to solve a problem like panic, anxiety, depression, stress, OCD, whatever, in the wrong reality, you're not going to get any benefits towards solving the actual problem. You might feel a little bit less symptomatic or symptom reduction, but it actually perpetuates the problem. It makes the problem last longer and it makes the problem worse. So let me give you a couple of examples just to illustrate the point. Most psychological problems create a conflict. So let's think about someone who's, let's say, socially anxious. A socially anxious person might feel uncomfortable going into larger groups of people or social settings or whatever, or any manner of thing that makes you feel anxious. So I want to go to that party, but I feel very anxious going. The typical solution is not to go. This reduces the conflict because being uncomfortable is conflictual. I want to be comfortable, but I'm not. It creates a conflict and that motivates you to do something typically. And so in the end, what happens is socially anxious folks tend to avoid going to places that are going to make them anxious. That reduces the conflict. If someone is progressing towards depression, they might feel their value is not very high. They might feel that they don't matter. They might feel that people don't really want them to be around. And so what happens is that they tend to reduce their interaction with the world generally, perhaps do less of the things that are interesting, do less of the hobbies, do less of social interactions, withdraw a little bit more, become a little bit more internal. And that then reduces the conflict because then you don't have to mix with people who you might think don't like you, or you don't have to go to places that you might feel embarrassed or exposed or people looking at you. But that's managing the problem in external reality. All that happens is that your life gets smaller and smaller and it pushes you further towards depression because you're reducing the things that might reinforce a bigger life. But it also reduces the internal conflict because you're not feeling so conflicted about doing things and being places. So in a sense, reducing conflict is like a path of least resistance. It's the easiest thing to do. But it is completely and utterly unhelpful if we want to resolve every psychological problem, actually. Now, your brain, my brain, everybody's brain, and in fact, your brain's a system, but all systems actually want to reduce conflict. They want to achieve balance. So if hot water and cold water are mixed, hot water, cold water, this is a conflict, this is an imbalance. It resolves itself down to warm water balance. High pressure in the atmosphere, low pressure in the atmosphere, it resolves itself down. And the process creates conflict, storms, hurricanes, all sorts of things. Every process tends towards balance, and this is true of your brain. Your brain wants to reduce conflict, it wants to have balance. But here's the tricky bit. The balance that your brain achieves might not be useful to you. It is simply a balance. So the socially anxious person doesn't go out. They don't feel the conflict particularly, because they don't do it, and that they feel more balanced. They don't feel, so stressed about stuff. Yeah, but this balance, this lack of conflict means that you don't go to places. You don't do things which are interesting and engaging. You don't put yourself forward. The depressed person feels potentially quite balanced in their depression in the sense that it's not challenged. Yeah, but they're also severely limited, so that in the end they can't do almost any of the things that are socially rewarding and are in a sense naturally antidepressant. So when we try to solve problems in external reality, it gives us an opportunity, or it's a sort of trick really. It's a tricky way of creating balance, but that balance might not be helpful. It might not be helpful at all. And if we push it far enough, as an example, And people who are, successfully suicidal have achieved a level of balance where their desire to kill themselves is congruent with their actions, balanced. Someone who is in that situation conflictual, I feel an urge, but I don't want to do it. Conflict, always more difficult and more uncomfortable to own. Now, given everything I've said, I think we need to ask ourselves this question. Am I having the life I want? If yes, brilliant. If no, we have to take ownership over the balance that we have achieved. We have to take ownership over the situation. We've got to kind of like own our balance, if you like. So if you're not having the life that you want, you've probably achieved some level of balance, but it's unhelpful. Now, at this point, we need to be brave, because if your balanced situation is unhelpful to you, it's not giving you what you want, the only solution you have, well, there's two kinds of things really. The first one is that we need to bring awareness to it. Now, for human beings, awareness is severely limited. True for me, everybody. It's just the nature of being human. But nevertheless, we bring what awareness we have to this process. And the other thing is some psychological knowledge, that we understand, in a sense, the system. We understand what's happening. We understand why we're not having the experience we want. And then we've got to be brave, and we've got to go, okay, I'm prepared to tolerate a bit of conflict. I'm prepared to unbalance the situation. I'm prepared to allow some difficult feelings, some discomfort into my world, because only through discomfort and challenging the balance do we get any progression. I'm introducing a new term that I'm calling self-balance. So self-balance is owning the balance that you have in your life. So whatever circumstances you have in your life, you own them. You say that these are the circumstances that I wish to have. If I don't have the circumstances I want to have, then I'm prepared to change them, and I will do what I need to do to change them. This is motivated mental health. You own your situation. I'm depressed, but I don't want to be depressed, and I'm motivated to change it. Right, we own it, and we do what we need to do to change it. I'm socially anxious, okay. I own that. I don't want to be socially anxious because it massively and severely disrupts my life. It spoils my chances. I'm going to own that, and I'm going to achieve a new balance, and I'm prepared to do the work. Motivated mental health. We're motivated to change things that are unhelpful or not working for us. Now, we need to bring awareness to every element of our internal world, to the negative self-beliefs we have, to the negative processes that we have, and even to those destructive and disruptive kind of secrets and ghosts that we don't even acknowledge. Because we need to bring awareness to everything, because everything is in the system, everything's in the mix, and everything contributes to the balance. We don't want anything hidden. We want everything to be open and available. We want to be aware of stuff. We want to be able to work on the things which are driving our unhelpful processes. In cognitive therapy, we often call them schemas, which is like really deep sort of self-beliefs that we have that drive our behavior. Mostly, well, often they're hidden, but they need to be brought into awareness so that we can own them and we can challenge and change them. We can work through the conflict to get a new balance that works for us. So the motivated mental health community. Why community? We do everything in community. Even the socially isolated person lives in a community of internal ghosts. We do everything in community, and almost everything that we do has elements of community to it. But one of the things I learned when I used to work in family therapy, family systems therapy, is this. The individual changes the group, and the group changes the individual. And this is an active and dynamic process whereby everybody is working to change their experience and simultaneously working on a set of shared goals to achieve shared outcomes. So it's called motivated mental health, but it's not just motivated mental health, it's motivated psychological health. Because once you get past the mental health part, it's what do you want for your life? What do you want to achieve? What would be something that would make your life meaningful, fantastic? What are you wanting? What kind of experience do you want to have? The motivated mental health community can take you the whole way, because everybody who's in the community will want to achieve things just beyond not being anxious. That's going to be easy. But what are you going to do to make your life meaningful to you. This is what I envisage with the motivated mental health community. Like-minded people, motivated, committed to tolerating a little bit of conflict as they change their internal rules, self-beliefs, etc., whatever, to have the life that they want. There is fundamentally no barrier to having the life that you want, because we're not changing the external world, we're changing your internal reality, your internal world. And as you change your internal world, your external world starts to follow suit. So all we have to do is we have to own and change our internal reality, and the external reality will just form around us, because we change the community and the community changes us. As far as I'm aware, the motivated mental health community is a revolutionary approach. It's a new thing, and I haven't been able to find any examples of it anywhere. There are different kinds of groups, etc., but this is something which is, I think, unique. If you'd like to be involved, make sure we've got your details, and I look forward to interacting with you further down the line. Thanks for taking the time to watch and listen.